Hey guys, today's guest is Billy Goff, a young buck from Connecticut who ate a head kick, got dropped, got back up, and ended up fighting his way into the UFC on Dana White's Contender Series. Today, we'll hear his story of where that fight comes from and a story of resilience and persistence. Now, heads up, this one was recorded 3 years ago, back when I was still working out the kinks of the interview process. Let's dive in. I love fighter stories. I love their personal stories. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many interviews out there about your fight. What's your next fight? What did you do during that fight? All that stuff. It's all amazing. But I feel like people really connect with who you are, right? So that's really why I wanted to have you on. And your story is it's amazing. It definitely, like, my wife and I, we watch Contender Series, and she was like, "You have to tell him that I love him. And, like, he's awesome." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I kept it a secret that you were coming on for a while."
Appreciate that.
Yeah, man, it's so exciting to have you in the UFC. I can't wait. I can't wait to see your whole story play out. I basically just want to know, like, beginning to end, like, when did you? First off, let's just go with the simple ones. Where are you from? Where were you born?
So I was born in Gulfport, Mississippi.
Okay.
Get to be closer to my mom's mom because she wasn't doing that well health wise.
Gotcha.
And I've lived here since then.
So you're in Mississippi right now?
No. I was born in Mississippi but when I was 5, I moved up to Connecticut because my grandma on my mom's side, she wasn't doing as well health wise. So my mom wanted to be closer to her. So we ended up, and I've been here. I've been in Connecticut since.
Gotcha. And that's where you're at right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you found that it seems like there's gyms everywhere. Like, anywhere you're at, there's a gym.
Yeah, there's tons of gyms. Like, there's different, and the biggest thing is, like, there's different levels of gyms. There's gyms that
exactly
just train. There's gyms that, like, even just like there's jiu-jitsu gyms, there's a wrestling gym, there's a kickboxing gym, Muay Thai gym.
Yep.
And then there's none of those might put out competitors, but they don't put out fighters. There's MMA gyms that just train, that just make money. They put out some fighters, and then there's gyms that put out fighters. That's what they do. That's why they're there.
Exactly.
And some are more sparse. And then amongst the gyms that even put out a lot of fighters, that's the main thing. In my opinion, there's certain differences among gyms. Like, there's gyms that you go to a gym and you cross train with them, and they won't fight you if you train with them. Like, "Oh, we trained with a guy. We don't want to fight him." It's like, give your balls a tuck. We'll fight anybody.
They won't spar or what?
No, so they'll spar. Like, they'll do cross training. Like, I've trained with guys. Like, I've cross trained a little bit. Now I try to and for this reason, my coach tells me not to go to a lot of places, because you go somewhere and then you'll train with someone, and then you might get offered a fight with them, or one of your teammates will get offered a fight to them, and they'll say, no, we train with them. We don't want to fight them. And it's like, what? Come on now.
Yeah. That's what you've been training for.
Yeah. It's not like you're fighting, your main training partner out of your own gym. It's like you're fighting a guy you've done some sparring with on a weekend.
Right. So, like, that's a huge step to realize I want to be a professional fighter, right? Or was it not?
From what? Like,
so
just in general, or from amateur to pro?
No, just to realize that you want to fight professionally. Like, when did when did that realization happen?
When I didn't really know much about it, I just, like, growing up, I watched it with my friends here and there, and I was like, "Oh, that's really cool. I bet I could do that. That would be fun," like the typical person. But I was never super into it because I was worried about wrestling. I loved wrestling. That's what my whole life was about. And then I trained a little bit here and there. Thought it was cool. And then when I got out of high school, I wanted something to do. I wanted to go wrestle in college. Ended up not. And I came back to the gym I'm at now because I'd gone here when I was younger, and just to try it out, like to find something to replace wrestling.
Hmm.
And it was a perfect replacement because the training, the environment you're in, it's the same. It was perfect. It was and it's not every gym you go to that's the same because not every gym trains hard as shit, constantly go, 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 go. But the gym that I went to, my gym now, the Rough House, it was perfect. I loved it. And then when I got a fight, because I was everybody, there wasn't too many guys. When I first started, most nights was just me, my coach, and my teammate Austin. Just us three, just training most nights that week for like the
Wow.
first couple of years I trained. There'd be spurts where like a couple of months you'd have like two new guys, three new guys, one would leave, then the next would leave, and then you'll have a couple months of people who have been there before and they'll come back for a few months and they go again. But for consistently, it was mostly just awesome for my for a few years. And I just loved it. They were fighters and I was like, fuck it. I'm going to fight. I'm not going to train and not fight. So I got my first ever fight was a Muay Thai fight. And I
Mm.
felt like it was so intense. It was more than anything I ever felt in wrestling. And I just fell in love with it. Like, yeah, this is what I'm doing.
Wow. So what was that feeling like to like before you even stepped into the ring? Like, did you
I
walk
was
in?
so scared.
Yeah.
I still get scared. Or before my first fight, they wanted me to pick my walkout song. I was like, I can't think of a walkout song. What do you mean? Like, I don't know. And I just had my coach pick and he told me
Right.
when to walk out. He's like to try to time it with the beat. And I remember when I got into the fight, I was still nervous as fuck in the fight. And I remember being in the fight, I threw like 40 uppercuts just because one hit. And it's like, that works. And just keep doing it over and over and over again.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's oh my God. I can't imagine. So you still get scared going into the ring.
Yes. Yeah. So usually, there's been times where it's more so than others, but once you start making that walk, the nerves are gone. Once you start walk
Really?
into the cage, the nerves are gone. Yeah. But before that, I'm gonna shit my pants. Different ways, like I want this to not have. If this cage out there could just collapse and fall in on itself, and not we can't use it anymore. So now I don't have to fight.
Right.
Like anything can happen. Just don't let me fight.
Yep. Well,
But
it's
I
kind of like
mean, say what
sorry,
were you
go.
saying?
Oh, I was gonna say it's very similar to wrestling, I'm sure, when you're on deck, right?
Yeah. But see
Or when you're
now,
even waiting to hear your name get called.
yeah, but now, like when I go back to wrestling, I don't get nervous. What is this? It's not a fight, it's a wrestling match. But when I was in high
Exactly.
school, yeah, I used to get so nervous. Yeah, it was an interesting transition, and but I, I am like I think about it all the time, especially when I try to, and when my teammates or when I try to talk to somebody about it, or just talk to somebody about nerves. Like I am so grateful for the opportunity to be this nervous because I've never been this nervous in my entire life. I've never felt this way. And to be this nervous, what am I going to do? Not fight? Am I going to run away? No. I
Right.
have to just keep walking forward. I got to carry all of this. So it's such a great opportunity to be able to see that you can do that. Like you can be that scared and still do what you want to do.
That's a great way to look at it. That's a really great way to look at it. That's like a level of sports psychology that you already nailed, right?
Trying to.
Yeah. Do you
I also have
to,
tiny. I have I have tiny ears, so they don't want to stand
those
off.
things fall out of everybody. It's frustrating. Don't worry about it. Um, do you have a sports psychologist?
Nope, I've tried a couple. Like I remember when I was in high school, I went to Gene Mills wrestling camp, and there's one of the coaches there gave me a book. That was my first time being introduced to like sports psychology. It was like a book about getting mentally ready, and
Hmm.
I left the camp with it. And like I've had a couple now being in my career, people reach out to you like, hey, let me be your mental coach and this and that, and hard because like the only thing that's ever helped me to ease the nerves, like I don't go on my phone, I don't listen to music. I don't, I can't play games. Like I can't, reading's all right. But what helps me the most is talking to my coaches and my teammates. That's the only thing that's ever really helped me. Outside of that, it all makes it worse.
Yeah. What do you guys usually talk about? What's a conversation like?
So like before a fight, it's usually like my coach will be going over it. Like, all right, just remember, keep your hands up, keep circling, keep moving. You want to focus. When you're circling, make sure you're cutting off the power. And just little things like that that we're looking out for in the fight. He's going to be throwing this. He's going to be watching for the big shot. Listen to me. If I tell you to get up and get out, get out. Things like that. And he just talks to me about that, or we'll just bullshit. We'll just make jokes and walk around and bullshit, which is usually better. Talking about the
Hmm.
fights usually doesn't help too much.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Wrestling. When did you start wrestling? Well, we'll go all the way back there.
I started wrestling when I was 8 years old. Um, my my dad worked with someone named Wild Bill, uh, and his son wrestled, and he told my dad he's like, listen, it's gonna be the best thing for him. Put him in wrestling. So he listened and put me in wrestling, and I don't know what kind of person I would be without wrestling. It shaped every bit of who I am, in my opinion. I mean, you could say like it goes nurture or nature. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. So what did it do for you?
Um, the biggest thing was like I wasn't very good, so
You weren't good
it
at
was.
wrestling?
I know I was terrible until I wasn't good until my sophomore year in high school.
Wow.
Like I was good in certain standards. Like when I was in middle school, I was doing all right locally, and then I went to like states and New England's, and I got thrown around I was like a child out there. Well, I mean, I was a child out there, but
It's a
like
different
even
level.
small. Yeah, and like that was just middle school. Like and like in Connecticut and Rhode Island, um, we're some of the worst states for wrestling in the whole country, only because we're the smallest.
Meaning
The
like it's not good for wrestling.
Not necessarily like it's more so the skill. And it's not that there's really good guys who come out of Connecticut. Some of the best in the country come out of Connecticut and Rhode Island, but there's less of them.
Gotcha.
There's
Gotcha.
a percentage, but if you go to California, or like go to bigger states and they're huge. They have so many
Pennsylvania.
wrestlers. They have Pennsylvania. They have they have so many kids wrestling that it just creates a like higher percentage of better wrestlers. But Connecticut and like this New England area it's just not as good. So being all right here means that you're trash out there, dude. Um,
Yeah.
like it was like I didn't start the reason like you get good in wrestling when you do freestyle and you start doing off season stuff and you start
Yep.
doing all that. And I didn't
Yep.
do that until I was in high school.
Greco-Roman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the fun stuff.
I'm from Pennsylvania, so like it's a whole other beast. Like, because if you're in a weight division that the state champion's in, forget it. Like nobody's even batting an eye at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So it's wrestling's brutal, man. I don't think people realize how brutal wrestling is.
yeah, and like that's the big thing about wrestling. Like that's what out of it's not gonna doesn't you can get in shape doing any sport or just
Hmm.
working out.
Yeah.
You can learn discipline in so many different sports. You can get like somewhat kind of toughness in a lot of different sports because you face adversity and you got to keep working hard and you have days that you lose and you keep pushing through them. But it's not the same. Like I remember so many nights I can think back to where I was wrestling and I was just getting beat up night after night. And like I wanted to cry. Like nights where I'm just getting so angry. You just gotta keep going. I'm just gonna keep diving at your leg. I'm gonna get it eventually. Or maybe not. I'll get it from a year from now. Like that changes people. And if you
Yeah.
can get through that, you can get through life.
It's very true. It's very true. Like, especially as like, for as a young boy, in wrestling, you, it's a whole other, learning process. Like it's really teaching you, like, I'm sure as you could say, like it was probably your base, right? Like that was a huge base for you.
Absolutely. Everything. If anything bad happens, I revert to wrestling. Like
Wow.
in a fight, if I'm getting hit, wrestle. If something's not working, wrestle. To a certain extent, there's times where you don't want to wrestle because they're a better wrestler, so go to something else. Um, but hopefully you just work to be the best wrestler.
Yeah, exactly. Have have you ever been in a fight where you're fighting a non-wrestler, but you know, they're jujitsu, they have jujitsu, like whatever belt in jujitsu, and they have a really good ground game. Have you ever went to wrestle one of those guys and they kind of stuffed you?
No. So there's one time I got wrestled by a guy who wasn't a wrestler, and it's because I was fighting like shit, which was very embarrassing. Because that shouldn't have happened. And but I have like I've been submitted, but like my first ever amateur fight, I was wrestling him, and then I got caught in a guillotine. So it's not really like they stuffed me, but he got me. So because there's holes and like sticking your neck out there, you're gonna get caught.
No, yeah, sure. It's a tough learning curve from wrestling to jujitsu. It's a really hard learning curve because things you would do in wrestling are a complete no-no in jujitsu. You know, you get submitted right away. Um, I was just wondering, like, say something wrestling wise, like a takedown, and somebody just their defense is really good when they don't have a wrestling background, or do you find that because you're a wrestler, it's you own that wrestling space, like with takedowns or you know ground or like body control?
Usually, and like that's like there's been times where I fought people who were bigger than me or were supposed to be stronger than me, and I still moved them around. I didn't body them, but I look like I did because I have better technique
Hmm.
and I own that. Like if we're gonna get close to each other, I'm gonna control you because
Yeah.
you're coming to my game.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yeah.
wrestling, it's difficult too because wrestling for MMA is so different because there's a lot of things like you don't hit your knee for shots in MMA because you don't need to. You're not like you're gonna get hit doing that. Um, Wrestling for MMA is even different. Using the cage is very different, and a lot of people don't train it right.
Yep.
Even wrestlers will come in and they won't know how to use their wrestling for MMA yet, but you
Mm,
take some time and they're gonna figure it out.
yeah. Yeah. I was curious how that all worked because you know, just being a wrestler, like learning that at such a young age, I really think that like the things that we've been taught when we were younger are they make us who we are, right? So therefore, like wrestling, you learn how to manipulate somebody's body weight with your own, and you can control people. Like you know, you get in a you get in a street fight with somebody who hasn't wrestled, it's game over, really. You know, because all
Yeah.
fights end up on the ground, and you just you know people just don't realize how to shift the weight, how to shift weight around in a
No, it's the hips. It's like in your hips. Like if you don't have good hip control, you're just gonna get tossed.
yeah. Yeah. Um, was your dad a coach?
Nope. So I mean, he coached me in football when I was little. But
Gotcha.
he didn't wrestle. He didn't know how to wrestle. He tried to coach me like every dad does. Uh, but no, he wasn't my coach. Um, he uh he drove me around to a lot of matches, and I had a ton of different coaches. Like I bounced from team to team. Like I went from one year because the my first program closed down. Then I went to another place for a few years. Then I went to another place, and then I moved around. And then eventually, when I got high school, I just wrestled for my high school. But no, my dad was never a coach. But when I was younger, he was the one taking me to all my tournaments and stuff. And he would try to coach me.
Yeah. Well, that's a dad, you know.
Yeah.
I'm trying to coach my daughter. She's 5 and she's in jujitsu. She's at Gracie Baja. She will not listen, man. She just doesn't listen.
No.
She won't listen to me. She's
Does
like,
she
"Come
listen to
on."
other people?
Yeah, yeah. If a coach comes up, yeah, and then tells her what to do, she'll listen and she'll try to do it. But man, it's just so hard as it's hard as a dad to try to teach her because she's like, you're not wearing a gi. You're not a black belt. What do you know? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
like there's just this different. Yeah, she doesn't want to learn from me for anything.
That's typical kid stuff. Like I've seen so many kids like that's why it's always better to just let somebody else coach them. Like because then there's no relationship. There's nothing outside of the coaching. It's just straight coaching. Like I've seen so many kids get burnt out because they don't like getting coached by their parents.
Yeah.
And they do so much better when they're not getting coached by their parents. And that's not always the case. Like there's parents who do a very good job. But there's a very specific way to do it. I don't know how to do it, but some people do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. I mean, I understand it, but as a parent, you just want to see your kid do better, and it's tough. It's really tough.
It's hard to pull
really
yourself
hard.
away, I bet.
Yep. Yep.
Like you see something and you know how it works. You're like, hey, don't do that. Do this. Do this. And
Exactly.
They won't hear it.
Exactly. Exactly. So wrestling, I didn't realize you had to go to programs. You didn't have it in your, middle school, or it wasn't.
No, I grew up in Groton for the most part, and so my first year of wrestling, I wrestled for Groton. They were like youth team, but that was the last year. They got canceled the year after. So then I went over to Ledyard, which is in town nearby. They have a program for youth, middle school, and high school, and that's why their high school is better, is because they have feeder programs. So I wrestled for them, and then when I was going to middle school, I thought I couldn't wrestle for the youth program anymore. So we went over to a different club. And I went over to this club called Macaros, and I wrestled there I went to Westerly, I went to a club in Rhode Island and wrestled for them for a year. Then they got scooped up by this club called Macaros, wrestled for them until I went to high school. And then when I got in high school, I just wrestled for my high school. And then eventually when I was in high school, that's how when I was in high school, I got introduced to freestyle and Greco because one of my teammates, he was going to practices after practice sometimes, or during the off season at a place called KT Kids. And that's where my wrestling game jumped the most because I got freestyle and Greco. And there was also a lot of good kids there.
Yeah. Yeah. You see a huge difference. Like I remember I wrestled 12 years when I was little, and it was the kids that were going to freestyle and Greco, they would just come back different, completely different. Like, and that's for me, like you probably didn't see it because you went, but for me not going, I would see them come in like thinking not much of it. And then they would just come in completely different, like things they learn, throwing things around that I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, I was like, what was that?
Yeah, what do you call that? And then you try to play it off like, yeah, whatever, that's cool and everything, but can you use it in a match? They're like, yeah, I can. Yeah, I can. Yeah. But I guess that's a question that pops into my head is I didn't have the drive to go to freestyle. Like it wasn't in me. Like I didn't push for it. So what do you think that was that just kept you driving to just like you said, like you weren't that great, but you were like, I'm going to keep going, keep going, keep going.
So I didn't know about freestyle and Greco. Like I kind of knew like what the Olympics was, but I didn't understand it that much. And I didn't know any clubs. I didn't know anybody who did it. I didn't talk to anybody who went to clubs. And there were certain clubs around that I should have gone to that were a lot better, that trained all year, and they did folk style and freestyle and Greco. But I didn't know about it. But the biggest thing was like when I was in the practice room, that's when I worked hard. So even like, that's why I wasn't good, is because I only did it 3 months out of the year during the season. Because the rest of the year, there was no wrestling going on in my head. Plus it was also, it's money too. Like when I was younger, we didn't have a ton of money to go traveling and go to pay for a session, in freestyle and Greco. So it was hard. But eventually, as I got older, I knew about it, but I still didn't have money to go do it. So it was more so like I would do extra wrestling. Like, oh, these guys are doing a practice down here, and I can just go there for free. So I would go do that. I would go wrestle with people in New London. Um, Alumni, they would get together and have practice, like for alumni from my school. And I would go and wrestle with them whenever I could. And it wasn't a ton, but it helped a lot. But eventually, when I was in high school, I got the chance to go do it and they were doing extra practices just here and there. Um, and it wasn't like an actual session. But I was just working really hard in practice. And my coach was like, hey, and talked to that coach, like, hey, this kid works hard. Like, you probably want him in the room just for that. So that's why I got my shot to go do that.
Wow. So yeah, so where do you think that drive comes from? Like of wanting to like hustle and grind and keep going.
Like, there's different tons of, like, I could say, like, it could just be a part of you when you're born. Like, it's not really so much a nurture thing. It's more of just like that's in you. Um, and but at the same time, like I hated losing. Like growing up, I wasn't an angry kid. Like I was nice interaction wise, but when I got angry, it was straight to 100. And that, like, I don't want to lose, and just getting really angry and aggressive. Um, and I hated being weaker than people. Hated
Hmm.
being smaller, slower, not as good. And that just made me so angry and just wanted to keep going, keep going, keep going until I won. Like, worst case scenario, you're going to get tired eventually. And then I'll just catch up then, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's two ways of going when you get to that point. You know what I mean? You could either give up or keep fighting. So that's yeah, it's really admirable to like to want to keep going, to keep getting better, to keep fighting for that. So when you let's see, you went wrestling, then you went to Greco-Roman and freestyle, you said?
Yep.
Or-
When I was a junior in high school, I started doing freestyle and Greco, and I kept doing
Okay.
folk style for the rest of high school. I did freestyle and Greco. Um, but like, I went out to Fargo my junior year. Um, and then I wrestled my senior year, and then that was it. Then I was done wrestling, and then I found training. I found MMA.
How'd you find that?
So growing up, my dad put me in training here and there. Like, I did some jiu-jitsu here, some wrestling
Okay.
here. And I came to this gym when I was like 12, and I did it for a few months during the off season. Just because my dad wanted me to, it'd be good for me. Um, and it, um, I remembered it from when I was young. So I was like, yeah, I know that place exists. So let me go back and check that place out. And I walked in, and I've been here since.
Wow. Same gym.
Yes. I've been here since I was 18 years old.
It's really wild to hear that you guys started with two people, right? That's what you said. You started
So
with two people in and out.
so it was when I came here. There's people, they had a full team before, but like, people will fight, and then eventually people stop fighting and they phase out. But my teammate Austin, he was young when he started training, and he was training here when there was when he had the older fighters here. They had a team and they were going, but then people started phasing out because they were getting older. They don't want to fight as much anymore. Um, but when I came here, there was other guys that came in here and there. And there was guys who would come in a lot for like a month or two and then they wouldn't show up for a while. But for the most part, most nights, it was my coach Dexter and Austin and me. For a lot of nights, it was like that for a while.
Wow. And you have a full team now.
Yeah, now we just had like 15 guys in there for jiu-jitsu. It's And like that, so when COVID happened, a nearby gym closed down, and we got the jiu-jitsu coach and a ton
Mm,
of their guys. So COVID was kind of good for us.
yeah.
And also just with our gym getting a little more notoriety, like getting bigger fights. We're having more fighters, like the team's getting bigger. We're getting more people in, more people want to come train. So that's a huge part of it too.
You're welcome, Jim. You're welcome for Billy Goff. That's no, it's I mean it's awesome. You can't. you can't get better if you're training with the same person day in and day out, you know, because you won't, everyone has so many different styles. There's so many different styles, you know. Some people are counter strikers. Some people are, you know, they could come right out and start fighting. Some are wrestlers, ground game, you know, all that stuff. You can't get good with just one person. You got to see all these, even goofy, you know, like people with goofy styles that you don't really understand. Some of those people will mop people up because you don't even realize what's going on here,
Yeah, like
right?
MVP.
Exactly.
Yeah, you
Exactly.
want guys like that. It's like your body's weird for your weight class. Your style's weird for fighting. Like I need to train with you just so I can get used to that. And that's the greatest part about going to cross training. Like I love going to cross training because now I get to work all my shit on someone who hasn't seen it 1,000 times. All my teammates know
Yeah,
what I'm doing. Like every time I try a little
exactly.
something, oh wait, you do. We both practice this.
Yeah. And then they're going home at night thinking in their head, like, how do I get Billy? What is he? Okay, he does this. How can I do that? So they're
Yeah,
studying you 24/7. Yeah.
yeah, and like that's great, and like you need that. But you also that's what cross training is awesome for is going and finding people and training with this guy because like oh you're a weirdo and I've never seen you and I probably will never see another guy like you. But seeing you and training with you is going to make me better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's tough to get beat by those guys too. Or if they,
Yeah,
it's really tough because you're like, what? It's such a goofy style. Like,
yeah,
I can handle that.
yeah.
Or people who look like they're out of shape, but they're unassuming. They're just they look like they're out of shape and they just mop you up. That,
Tiavasa, like Tiavasa looks like a fat
jeez.
slob. No offense to him,
Oh my
he's a tank.
gosh. I know. He's tough. He's really tough. He's very unassuming. So what is fighting like? How does it affect you, your mood, your, you know, how you float through life?
A lot of different ways. There's a lot of benefits and a lot of downsides to it. Um, like one benefit is I'm not nearly as aggressive. Like you know, like people, like a lot of guys, at least from my knowledge growing up, a lot of guys when you're walking down the street, you look at people and you're like, you imagine beating this guy up, beating this guy. Like I could I beat him up? Could I beat him in a fight? I don't do. I used to do it. I don't do it anymore. And like I'm a lot less. Not so. I was never really aggressive. But I'm a lot more comfortable. Like it's added confidence and humbleness to the way I operate in life and in social settings because I've I've been cracked. I've been beat up day in and day out. So nothing that's going to happen in this situation is going to be worse than that. I can handle whatever happens here.
Right.
Um, so that's a huge benefit. It's also very fulfilling to train with people that you love and respect and see so much work pay off and just go through the years and continuously training with these guys and just having a good environment around you. And that's a huge part of just happiness and just fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and, but the downside to fighting is it fucks with your head. Like I get so hard on myself sometimes. I get so angry and annoyed. I just get irritated, just cause there's highs and lows. There's just some days you're really happy, you're feeling good. And it's awesome. You're on top of the world. Other days you feel like shit. Your time is off. You're getting hit. And now I'm just in a bad mood all day because I sucked at practice tonight.
Mm.
Or I'm not feeling this whole week's been shitty. So now my whole week is shitty, but you just you keep going and eventually you're going to pick back up. And then with fights, like training, it's really hard. It adds up. Stress builds up. You get injuries here and there and they get frustrating. And then
Mm-hmm.
you go into the camp and you're nervous and that's adds more stress. And now you're not eating as well. You're not sleeping as well. Uh, and then you go into the fight happens. It's great. You have this super huge high and then you're riding that for just a little bit. And then you got to go back down. And when you go back down, that sucks. Like after a fight, you just like, what now? What am I going to do now with myself? So there's a huge privilege to revolving your life around something, but there's when that when that stops or pauses briefly, it sends you up and down.
Yeah, that's well said. It's almost like wherever you put your happiness, it kind of dictates what if you're going to be happy or not, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Um, man, there's a lot to unpack there. Do you think have you ever do you do any diet work like to make sure things that you eat aren't bringing you down, or is that something that doesn't really matter?
Um, Not eating after practice, like not eating before bed, helps me sleep better. So in one way, I try to do that. Um, Not eating junk food does help with like anxiety and issue and stress and everything. So when I'm dieting and eating cleanly, that certainly helps. But I'm not doing it for that reason. Um, but it does help. But at the same time, when you're trying to cut weight, it adds a little more stress and you're a little more like I don't usually get too hangry. But like once
Hmm.
you're like a month into camp, a month and a half into camp, and you're being strict, um, and you're hungry, um, or you're a little stressed out. Like once things start adding on top, and eventually there's a straw that breaks it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've noticed that just in my life, when I eat if I eat red meat, I'm so tired for 3 days. I mean, to the point
Really?
where I can't even, if I'm doing anything physical, bag work, playing racquetball, tennis, whatever, I can't even swing my arms. I'm just so tired. And then I just found out, like, with my blood type, that red meat actually weighs me down. It takes 3, 4, 5 days to digest, and I'm not really digesting it well with my blood type. It's still stuff that I'm trying to figure out. There's a guy out there that has a blood type chart, and it's interesting. And I was wondering if how much fighters follow or not follow that, or if they notice there's foods that aid them in fights or make them more sluggish during a fight or training.
So like I've been trying to figure out whether or not almond milk does that to me. Because sometimes I get bloated here and there, but I don't know if that's because some days I don't eat as much. I don't drink as much water. Some days I eat a little too much. Like I've had the bad habit of binge eating. Like I'll cut weight and make weight, and I'll eat way too much. Or eat weight like one after after one fight. The first thing I did, which was so dumb, as soon as I made weight, I got off the scale, went over, and I popped a big can of soup and just chugged it. And my stomach hurt so badly, like it hurt the next night in the
Well, what
fight.
is that, like 1,000 grams of sodium or something like that?
Like I should have drank a lot of water for a little while, and then had soup if I wanted that. So there's certainly and like I was vegan for 4 years.
Really?
Yeah, when I first started fighting, I was vegan all the way up until a few fights into my pro career, um, and the like doing that was really hard. And I think I suffered a lot because of it. I think I missed out on a lot of muscle building I could have had growing up. Um, so, but I mean, I was at 155 anyways. And then eventually, I mean, I'm not vegan anymore, and I do feel a lot better. And at the same time, when I was vegan, I was eating a lot of canned food, and
Mm,
that's not really good for you.
yeah.
There's so many ways to play with your diet. Like it's so hard. Like I would imagine that like now that you know that your meat is fucking with you, red meat is messing with you, and it doesn't make you feel good. It's still going to take you some time to adjust to that. And all right, like, do I eat red meat a little bit here and there, or do I not eat it at all? Like that's a lot that you got to balance, and it's a constant changing like
Yeah.
process.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like we all have different bodies. We all have different makeup. So it's really finding your diet, and it takes a long time because if you eat something that's not good for you, it's 10 days, till it gets out of your body. That's what they tell you if you want to get tested for it. You have to stop eating it for 10 days, and then I think eat a little bit of it, and then they'll test you. or something like that. I don't remember, but it's a long time till it gets out of your body. Um, I did quit eating red meat, by the way. I feel so much better now that I've stopped. I wish I
It's awesome.
could. I see people like my dad, that's all he eats is red meat almost, or used to. Pennsylvania, deer hunting. That's
Yeah.
he always had a freezer stocked full of red meat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was just
Who,
curious.
who knows? I mean, growing up eating a lot of red meat, that like you never know. Like you develop allergies as you get older. Not no, not necessarily allergies, but intolerances.
Yeah.
Your body doesn't like something anymore.
Yep.
Like it's so weird. Like some person's born with it, some person develops it. And then like you develop it, but then you can fix it and then it goes away. And like there's tons of tests you can take to do it, like to figure stuff out. Like
Yep.
Thorne has all those tests. Um, but those all cost a shit ton of money. So
Yeah. 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 That's tough. It does cost a lot of money and a lot of time. So,
yeah.
why'd you go vegan?
Um, so for at the time I was looking back on it, I think it was just I needed something to care about. I needed to make a stand about something that felt like it mattered to me so that I felt more of myself. Um, but at the time I was doing it just because I cared about it. I was, in my eyes, I didn't want to hurt animals. So that was the biggest reason I did it.
Gotcha. Have you ever went hunting or any of that, or was it just something that you saw? And what I'm asking is it something that was directly correlated to you, like hunting, and then you realizing like, oh man, that was pretty brutal, or is it just something that you realized like through watching something or
Yep. Like seeing all the stuff, like, cause like factory farming is pretty fucked up. Like
very,
the conditions are pretty shitty.
very
And seeing all that stuff just really sat wrong with me. And, um, so I was like, no, I can't do this. Um, but no, I do like now I want to go hunting. But now I think it's hunting makes sense. Hunting, like, cause personally, I don't think some people, like everybody's different. Some people are healthier with meat. So it can't be immoral it doesn't make sense for it to be immoral to be vegan, to eat meat.
hmm
It's immoral to eat meat ungratefully. That makes sense. So if you're a piece of shit or you're treating animals poorly, now, yeah, that's wrong. You shouldn't be doing that. But to appreciate them and understand what you're doing in the whole process and not like, oh, I love killing things, but like, yeah, I like hunting. I enjoy it, but you can feel, you don't have to feel sad, but like understanding that you're taking a life and respecting that adds a little more respectability to it, I guess.
Yeah, it's really tough. I mean everything you just said, I echo because I grew up hunting. It was something that was just kind of what everyone does back in my hometown. I've shot a couple deer and it's tough. It's really tough, to take something's life and I remember going home and thinking like, oh man, I hope that deer was just a bad deer. I hope it was just like a horrible deer and I got it. You know what I mean? I had to like make sense of it in some way. It's tough because I'm a huge animal lover. Uh, but it is something primal in us. You know what I mean? Our ancestors dating back I mean, as far as us as humans have done it. So, and there is something exciting, but also hard. Yeah, it's hard to explain, but, yeah. Uh, a question I was going to ask, are you hard on yourself or is that something that most fighters are, that's how they get to greatness is like they're pretty much criticizing each thing that they do wrong or mistake.
To a certain degree, like um I'm really hard on myself, and I think most fighters are very critical of themselves.
Hmm.
Not necessarily hard on themselves. Like a lot of great fighters understand, like once you mature and you're a little more calm and you kind of appreciate the process a little more, you understand like, all right, this is where I messed up. This is what I did well. And I need to work on this. And you drill this hard and hard, but you don't make yourself feel like a piece of shit for it. Like you don't
Yeah.
hate yourself for it. You're not mad at yourself. It's just like,
Hmm.
this is where I'm going wrong. I don't like, you're never going to be perfect.
Yep.
So there's always going to be holes. You don't need to take it that hardly, but you push and push and push regardless. And I'm
Right.
getting better at it as I've gotten older. Like there used to be times in practice where if you tap, like if I got tapped at all, and there's times where like, okay, this person, I'm better than them. And if I don't smash them today as much as I should, or have my way with them whenever I want, I would get angry and I would get so frustrated to the point where I'd almost cry. Um,
Wow.
and that's not healthy. That's not good for you. Like, yeah, it's good to have that drive to want to be better, but like, that's more of a, that's more of an insecurity than anything. That's more of it's because it's an irrational reaction. Like you can understand, like I fucked up. I should be better. I'm going to work to be better, but I'm not going to ruin the rest of my practice by hating myself.
Have you always been like that? Like from the beginning, like let's say before you even wrestled, did you notice that you were like that where you would get that upset if you in your mind failed at something?
But yeah, all the time. Like there's, and it doesn't like the reason, like I'm not an asshole about it. Like I don't get angry and like hit people or like blow up on someone. But internally, I just internalize it. But it's there. Like I would like if I lose a game, if I lose a board game, inside I'm like sometimes not always. I've gotten a lot better at it since I've gotten older and older and I've relaxed and I've matured. But like I could lose a board game and I feel dumb. It's like I should have. Why'd I lose? Am I an idiot? And I get so angry at myself for no reason. It's like, dude, it's a board game. Some people lose. Like, it is what it is.
So you were beating yourself up instead of somebody else.
Yeah. And it's just you're a perfectionist because and like the biggest thing like you don't feel like you're good enough. So you have to be perfect. You have to be perfect. And it just comes down to you're just insecure. You're not comfortable with who you are.
Wow. When do you think that started?
I think that's just been I'm not necessarily. I mean, there's only so far back I can remember,
Yeah.
but it's pretty young because I used to get really mad at in wrestling. That was the same kind of anger. Um, losing at video games. That's how I felt. Um, I can't remember too many situations like pretty young, like when I was definitely in middle school, it was there. Um, outside of like sports and working out and stuff. But I don't know what started it. I mean, like growing up, my home life wasn't the most stable and comforting. So I think that's obviously part of it.
Hmm.
So I don't know exactly when it started, but it's been there forever. Just
Has anybody put you down when you were younger to then make yourself start putting yourself down if you failed?
repeat that last part. You broke up a little bit.
So I'm curious, like, because as a child, I, has anybody put you down for failing that made you take that on to start putting yourself down for failing?
Yes. Yeah. When, like getting, so when my dad would try to coach me, that's usually how it came out. Like he was usually pretty, like he would coach me angrily and
Mm,
didn't work. Like already trying to tell your kid what to do is, especially in a sport, especially when they lost, because now they're upset and kids challenge you, kids come back at you. That's what they're going to do. You got to
sure.
understand that.
Yeah.
So going at them angry isn't going to help. Like, but there was times where, and it wasn't who my dad was. That's not who he is. Like my dad, it's very weird because my dad was an alcoholic growing up. Both my parents were. Um, and when, yeah, like if he was drinking and he would try to coach me in something, he he would just get angry and he would try to say something. And it's because growing up he was abused. He had an alcoholic father,
Wow.
and that creates a cycle.
Yep.
And he would say stuff like, and there he would say something like I remember after when I was older in high school, he was at my match and I wrestled poorly and I was upset about it. I still won, but I wrestled poorly and I was sitting off to the side and he came up to me and he leaned and like he was like, "Did you what? Did you forget how to wrestle?" It's like, "You don't know how to wrestle? What is that?" And then he just walked off and went home.
Mm.
Yeah. And then when I got home, he apologized. Like he was like, "I thought I was gonna fire you up." So like it was hard. Cause like he would say stuff like I remember him trying to coach me in baseball, teaching me how to pitch. And I just remember crying because I was just like he was just mad. Like I remember one of my first wrestling tournaments when I was little, after a match, um, he was coaching me and like I don't remember what he was saying, but it was just the way he was saying it. It just felt angry. And I felt like I'm just not good enough. Like this isn't just that.
Mm.
That's pretty much where it comes from in a lot of ways, not fully.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes it's tough. I mean, you as a parent, you only have the tools that your parents gave you, and then you have to learn anything you can from there. You know what I mean? And it's really just a guessing game. Like there's no book for parent. I mean, there's tons of books for parenting, right? But kind of ate those words right away.
Yeah.
But there's no book for the tools that you've been given. Like, you know what I mean? You have the tools you have all the tools in the toolbox that you've been given. And other than that, it's really tough. So, um, uh, I guess, yeah. I mean, I definitely hear where it comes from. Like it's, your grandpa was tough on your dad and your dad was tough on you. And then now you're tough on yourself. So that's where kind of, is that
Yeah,
fair to say?
that's exactly what it is. And it wasn't part of it. It wasn't all of it. Like there's things that add into it growing up and like if you don't have a ton of friends or like if you get bullied, like that adds to it.
It all
If like
plays in.
yeah, and like if you're not if you're not a successful athlete as a kid, that adds into it. If you like I moved around a lot as a kid too, and like any type of unstableness, it just adds to all the tension that builds up.
Hmm.
And like I am very grateful because like I'm not, and that's why like it's hard because I have these issues from what happened, but I don't really project them outwards as much, and that's because my parents, even though they were they had their issues and they would come at me in a lot of ways. They still, in a lot of ways, loved me very much. And I
Hmm.
could feel that they didn't treat
Yep.
me like things weren't the best, but I knew they loved me. So now I'm not a dick to anyone but myself, really.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally get that. I mean, like I told you, I wrestled. My dad was a coach. Same thing. My dad is, he's my hero. He's my best friend. He's the guy who made me who I am, loving guy. But, it was tough for him to coach me. Same thing, got angry. Um, yeah. And I guess that message of you're not enough kind of falls in all those places, right? Like anytime, like you lose at a board game, you're not enough. You lose at anything, you could fill that in with anything.
Every
Um,
time I lose getting a question wrong in do you want to be a millionaire? I remember it sticks in my head sometimes.
my
I was
God,
playing it with my mom and my sister and I lost and like my mood just went downhill. I got so mad. I was like, dude, who cares? Like, relax, just love yourself a little bit.
Well, I look, man, I think talking about this, I think it's I think it's so important for you and for everybody listening because I think at one point we've all been told we're not enough. And if anything hits that really sensitive spot that we guard with our lives and we feel like what was the message from that? Oh, I'm not enough. You react, and you have a really hard time with it, especially if you haven't unpacked that or analyzed it or tried to figure it out, But once you know, that's what's going on, not true. Move on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that
Yeah.
that part right there, that part where in your head where he's like, all right, hold on. I feel this way, but that's not true. That's not you. That takes maturing. That takes
Hmm.
a lot.
Yeah.
But that comes eventually for everybody.
Yeah.
This is my coach, Kirkor.
What's up,
What's
brother?
up, coach? How you doing?
Who am I talking to?
There's two guys, Justin and Nick.
I'm Nick.
Uh,
I'm the host of the podcast, Heart of the Bad Wolf.
but he can't hear you. Hold on.
Oh,
Yeah, I have the headphones in. That's right.
What's up, brother?
what's up,
This
man?
is
How you
Nick.
doing? I'm Nick.
Very good.
I'm the host of a podcast called Heart of the Bad Wolf.
It's nice to meet you.
You as well.
I'll take it back.
Enjoy.
Thanks. Yeah, like, and it's getting better. Like that feeling, that maturing, that like, relax. You can breathe a little bit. It's getting better. It
Yeah.
just comes with age.
Well, you're 24,
Yes.
dude. You're you're doing really well. I mean, the fact that like the things that you've realized, it's really great to talk to you about this stuff because I see a lot of similarities. Um, I did want to ask you. So on the Contender Series, you obviously won, and you were really angry. You were angry about the way the fight went, and uh, tell me. You tell me how you felt.
I was upset because like and if the best way to sum it up is like Michael Bisping was talking about the guy that I was fighting. Um, and he was saying how he was putting on a massive class of striking and he was looking really good and he was controlling the situation. And like he was saying that, oh, it looks like Billy prefers the boxing. And it wasn't the way that I wanted to be represented. Um, and it to go out there and not perform wanted to and know that I can, it was just so upsetting and frustrating because I had high expectations and I wanted to go out there and just be perfect. I wanted to have the best display of my striking, my wrestling, my knees, everything. Because
Hmm.
like I don't prefer boxing. I throw kicks, I throw knees, I throw elbows, and I have really good striking. I have better striking than who I fought. I know my striking's better than his. Uh, so having it not go the way that I wanted it to show what I can do, it was upsetting. It wasn't how I wanted it to go. But since then I'm like, all right, it was good. I looked good out there. I didn't look bad. I got caught and so I looked bad. I looked he looked really good for the first few minutes and it is what it is.
Hmm.
But at
So
first I was mad.
yeah, you could tell. I mean, and I don't. I think that was fine. I think it was, it. I think it showed a lot. I think you're very outward with your feelings, and I think it's like, God, I think people relate to you. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people relate to you, and it brings more fans. Um, so is that the way you see it now? Is like, you put on a good fight, and
Yeah, for sure. I'm having the people around me like, listen, relax. Like you did a good job. Like nobody thinks that you performed badly. Um, and that's kind of brought me down, going back and rewatching it and seeing like, all right, I was still doing well. I see where I messed up, but in every fight, even fights that I'm happy about, I can still find tons of things that I do wrong. So just because I got dropped and it wasn't my best showing. It wasn't a bad showing, so it's okay.
Have you ever thought about it like you just highlighted the amount of beating you can take and then come back and destroy? Have you saw it that way?
Yeah, like that is like, hey, my chin's still pretty good.
I mean, like to know that you could take some solid hits and come back from that, like that's got to be
It
that's
is
got to put
comforting.
you.
It it's always nice to know that, like, all right, I can bang. Like, I'm in here. You're not gonna put me out. But at the same time, I would like to stop testing that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
But it is what it is. I was also like, it's it's been a weird journey. Like I've never like going through training and getting better and better and fighting. I've always wanted to fight myself because I don't know how hard I hit. So I want to know how hard I hit because I don't know. And I wasn't sure if I hit hard.
hmm
But it was actually after this fight, I started feeling like I think I hit pretty hard. Like I think my
I think
hands are
so.
pretty heavy.
Yes.
Oh, you want to here? This is my coach, Dexter. This is oh fuck, I fucked it up. This is Nick. He runs a podcast.
What's up, brother?
How you doing,
How you
Dexter?
doing? All right,
Nice
love
to
man.
meet you.
Love you.
I'll see you tomorrow, yeah?
Yeah,
All right. Make sure the lights go on.
I will. But yeah, I definitely relaxed a good amount after the fight, and I was like, all right, it's not bad. You're good.
Yeah, I mean, I think you impressed a lot of people, and the person that's most important, the boss, right? Like you impressed everybody.
I mean, he gave me a standing ovation, so I can't.
I saw
couldn't
it.
have been that bad.
I saw it. I saw it. So as far as like you saying like, you're on cloud nine and then, you got to go back to the drawing board. Are you still reeling from that moment?
Not that moment so much, but I am still like, still hits me here and then. Like, oh shit, I'm in the UFC. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna be in the video game eventually.
I mean, it's awesome. It's so awesome. I gotta, yeah, I gotta be honest with you. Like I'm always wondering, like, you see all the regular fighters, right? And all the main cards and all that stuff. And you're like, man, I just like, who's coming out next? And to see you coming out, all the other guys on the Contender Series, it's so exciting. It's really exciting. I mean, like, obviously you're going to have a long career. I mean, I'm excited to see it. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see it.
They did a really, like, the Contender Series is a really good base, like a good platform, a good media pool to where, like, all right, it brings people in and it attaches people to these fighters personally. Like you get invested in the beginning of their career. So you see them progress and keep going, and it adds more excitement. You want to go and watch a card because it has this guy that you like on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really good show, and I get why they made it.
Absolutely. I mean, look, that's the whole reason I started this podcast, is because I just love the stories and I don't hear them enough. Like we heard a little bit of your story, your life story, and it pulls you in and it makes you want to know more. You know what I mean? Because it's like, all right, why is this guy a fighter? Why did he choose to fight? Like, what was that all about? And then just hearing like the wrestling and your dad, like kind of, like being tough with you on wrestling, and then you're tough on yourself, and then you want to fight more. And then, it all makes sense. So it's not just like you're this guy who just wants to go beat people up. It makes you a real person, right?
Yeah. It's like that thing that they do, Humanizing the Fighter. Like they'll ask him a bunch of questions like, oh, what's your favorite food? What's this? What's that? It does. Like I just recently, like they did one of Robert Whitaker recently, and his favorite video game is Final Fantasy Tactics. And I was like, oh shit, like that's fucking sick, dude. Like
Yeah.
I became more of a fan just now.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you can't help it but like love these guys, just what they go through. like I said, I think we're all pretty interconnected of like, we've all felt not enough at one point, you know, and it sticks with you. Like, I think everybody's gotten the message, I'm not enough. And yeah. What does your mom think?
She definitely wishes I would have chosen a different career, but she's accepted it and she's happy that I'm happy and that I'm chasing something that matters to me. So it's definitely good to have that, to have her not like she hates watching me get punched in the face, which I mean, I get it. But she does support me and that means a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How does that feel for you?
It's pretty good, especially because like she goes to fights like when we were younger. She didn't really go to my wrestling matches all that much.
Well,
Because it was mostly my dad bringing me everywhere, and my mom, and like my sister was at home, so I mean, can't leave her alone. So, but it is nice. Like she goes to my fights and she cheers me on, and she watches all my interviews, and she talks to me about it, and she keeps up the tabs. Like she has UFC Fight Pass, and like she gets a bunch of stuff on Instagram about fighting, even though she doesn't care about anybody but me. Uh, so it does. It feels because like when you have that support of like because your mom's gonna love you no matter what.
mm,
Like they're always in your corner. So to have like no matter what happens in this fight, there's people who are still gonna support me and love me and still be there for me to pick me up when I fall.
yeah,
So it's a huge push to keep going.
yeah. And do you talk to your dad, or is that you said you don't talk to your dad on the Contender Series, right?
Yeah, so I haven't talked to him uh since I was 19, 20 when I went down. He's down in Mississippi now, and I went down there to visit my grandma before she passed. And uh that was the last time I talked to him.
Wow. Go ahead.
No, I were you about to say?
I was just gonna say, what was the conversation that kind of just ended the you guys talking?
There wasn't really like a huge like so when there wasn't really a huge falling out conversationally wise. Like because even after that, I saw him. Like I still tried to reach out to him here and there, wish him happy Father's Day, happy birthday, Merry Christmas and stuff. Like I would try to talk to him a little bit, and I was texting at some point, calling, and I would never really get him. And I don't know if the texts weren't going through, if he wasn't getting the messages, but just never got anything back. Um, and so eventually I just stopped reaching out. But I know he like my aunt on his side tell me that like, he talks about my fighting and he talks to them all the time and he's watching it. So I know that he still supports me and like he was very proud of me like all the time. Like he would wear my like when I was wrestling as a kid, he would take my medals and wear them to work, and show them off to everybody
Wow.
and show people pictures and shit. So like I knew that he loved me and that he cared about me and he was proud of me. But it was just like the verbal part of like I didn't get the validation that I needed to feel like enough. That was where the major disconnect was. But when I was growing up, when I was 17, my we had a bit of an altercation and like physically. And there after that, my mom, my sister and I, we left and we went and stayed on our own. And then things happened and he ended up moving down south, just because it was easier for him. And that was kind of a bigger gap that just kind of things fizzled out.
So from that fight, you guys got in a fist fight, is what you're saying?
No, it wasn't. It like we didn't really. So I remember it. He just threw me into the wall, pretty much. The growing up, he would always. My dad, like when he would yell at me or get upset with me, I'd always want to look away. Like I would never want to really sit there and make eye contact with him. And he would always tell me to look me in the eyes when I'm talking to you. So it was a very like conflicting thing because I never wanted to because he was upset.
Mm.
But I remember that night when that like happened, I was so mad. It was something else that happened, and he was like, we were arguing. I was just fed up with it, so I was just sitting there, just staring at him, angry. Like, and he could tell I was angry, and like he was sitting there, like he was talking to me, and he was drinking that night, and he paused, and then he just grabbed me and threw me into the wall. And then like my sister came out, was yelling and stuff. And that kind of all separated. And then I went in my room and we talked about it. And, like he came in afterwards trying to talk to me. And he said like he thought I was looking at him as if I wanted to fight. And yeah, I was. I was mad. I was pissed off. I was like, dude, like you're yelling at me and I'm not in the mood for this. So I was just staring at him angrily. And uh from that, my mom was like, yeah, I can't. Cause so he never, like, he wasn't really abused. Like, he didn't really spank me ever as a kid. There was one time I called a girl a whore at school and he backhanded me for it. And even though I don't think it was fair because I only said it because she was talking shit to my friend. So I was sticking up for my friend. But he never really he was never like that really with me or like my sister, like he didn't hit us. But he was like my mom and him didn't have a good relationship. So like she wanted to leave on her own. And then when that happened to me, she left. Again, that's when things kind of split off.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
I haven't
man.
really talked about that a ton in interviews because most people don't ask about that. Like it's a weird path to go down. But I'm getting a little more comfortable talking about it. Cause it's weird too. Like when I talk about it and I always feel I'm always hesitant to say stuff like this because I don't want to shit on people. I don't want to air dirty
Absolutely.
laundry, but at the same
get it.
time, it's my life. Like this happened and I still love my dad. I still want the best for him. So it's not like I have no hate for him. I'm not mad, not upset, nothing. So it's weird. It's a weird mix of like I feel like I'm fair to talk about whatever I want, but it feels weird too.
No, I listen, I completely understand. I mean, I've in past interviews I've talked about where I hosted, I've talked about my dad and then I thought about it later and I'm like, taking a sound clip out doesn't really say who my dad is, right? Like, so you want to give the full picture. I get it, right? Like, you want to give the full picture and be like, here's what happened in that instance, but that's not who my dad is. Is that fair?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah. First off, I really appreciate you opening up about it. I mean, it's a really vulnerable thing, and I appreciate it, and I think a lot of people will realize, like, yeah, my parent was hard on me in this aspect, and my parent did this, my parent did that, but that's not who they are either. But those are still things that we kind of have to work on, right? Otherwise we won't really understand what happened. It's a tough situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that where you said like having to work on it or else you won't really know what happened is a huge part of it. Like not, if you don't work on it, it's just going to sit in you and it changes you. It makes you like, that's part of why I push and push and push and I'm angry and I'm aggressive at practice, which hinders my training. It hinders my career. So if you don't ever address that stuff, you're suffering because of it.
Right.
So yeah, that's a huge part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. If you deny it and you're just in denial the whole time, there's no growth there. Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And like one thing too is like when I always feel like, oh, and it's more so like, it's hard because like when like, it's like, I don't want to be like, I don't want to seem like I'm like making a pity party or trying to put out a sob story to get attention
Uh,
and stuff.
I don't think
And
that I don't think that's the case at all.
no, I don't think you do. But like in the back of your head, and that's part of it too.
Mm,
Is like, should I
yep.
care about what if people think that? Because if they do, they're just wrong, and it is what it is. Like I saw something, I forget where I saw it, but like a lot of people, like people who complain about politics, people who share stuff that's sad, people who do all that stuff, um, and like a lot of people don't like it. Because they don't want to see it, because they don't want to see negativity, because they're already dealing with their own shit. But a lot of people, I forget where I saw it, but someone said, just because you're bringing attention to it, like bringing attention to it isn't the same as trying to abuse it and use it for something. Bringing
Hmm.
attention to it, like brings growth and brings eyes, and like that's how you make things better, is by bringing attention to it. So it's hard. You have to be able to be vulnerable and talk about these things, but it's like you're as long as you're doing it genuinely.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I think we could, like I said, we can all grow from that. You know what I mean? Um, there's an amazing book called The Mask of Masculinity. It was, God, I'm gonna forget. Lewis Howes. I have it right there. Uh, he talks about his childhood and the things that he went through, and he thought the whole time like I can't share this with anybody because if I share it with somebody, I'm going to look like you said, you're abusing it. And he said he found that every time he shared it with somebody, he felt better and more people related to him and more people it's funny. I just told my daughter this because she was in jiu-jitsu and she was like didn't know what an arm bar was, but she told the teacher like, yeah, okay, cool, yeah. And I was like, you're going to be a leader if you tell people you don't know, because chances are like half the class doesn't know either, and they're too afraid to say something. So same thing, in this instance, people who haven't shared that because this, that, and the other things about their childhood or tough things that they went through, they're going to see you share it, and it's going to set the stage,
Yeah. And the more that people do it, like the more you talk about your dad and what bothers you, and the more that your daughter stands up, and the more that everybody stands up together collectively, like it just breeds a better environment for everybody to
Yep.
be more comfortable.
Yep.
And yeah, and when you see like that, talking to someone about it brings comfort and like it makes this like I feel better. It's crazy how like it's weird. Like I'm worked up, and like I've done it in relationships a lot where it's like I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to start an issue. I don't want to have any types of problems, and it's not that big of a deal. They're probably going to get annoyed, yada yada yada. And I'm too worked up about it for something that might be super small. But if I just stop and say, "Hey, this is how I feel," it immediately like the weight lifts off you, and it's so much better. Like it's
Yep.
crazy how it's crazy.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, especially for men to say words like hurt or small or not enough, because then we're afraid that that's going to like open up the door for us to look weak. But it's really interesting how it has the complete opposite effect. It makes you feel really powerful.
Yeah, as long as you get a good response, if you're telling people who are like positive, like good people, because there are people out there like who try to open up and they're opening up to the wrong person, and that makes it worse. That makes it harder next time.
Yeah.
So it's, but even just like writing about stuff, like just trying to be somewhat open, like people like nowadays, like with the internet, people just talk about stuff anonymously online, or they talk about it through one account, and it's just a good way for them to get it out. Um, and it's awesome in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Yeah. What else do you do that's outside of fighting that just completely fulfills you?
Um, Completely fulfills me.
Nothing.
I'm still on the journey of trying to find fulfillment just by relaxing. But there's a lot of things. Like, I mean, I love hanging out with friends. Like just hanging out with people and doing shit is like regardless of what we're doing. If you're hanging out with like a good friend, it's awesome. Like I've
Yeah.
got my like my buddy Jake. He trains with me. He moved in with me. And, like I bought a house that needs to be fixed and like it's got a lot of work that needs to be done on it.
Mhm.
And we've been doing a lot of stuff. And like that's awesome. Like just spending a day with your buddy, just working on stuff, even though like half of what we're doing is wrong. Because we're not carpenters, we don't know what we're doing.
Right.
We're just watching YouTube videos. Like that's awesome. And I play D&D. Um, so that's
Dungeons and Dragons.
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Um, my group, we have a group and we have a few campaigns that we're running. And I'm the DM of one of them, so I'm making up the story and everything.
I don't know. I know of Dungeons and Dragons, but I don't know the world. So what is it? Like internet or what?
So we do it on tabletop. So we all sit like we usually do it at my place. And we all just sit around my kitchen table, and and everything's just imagination. You have dice and you roll them, and like you have stats for your character, and like there's a certain situation. So like there's a DM so like each character would play their character. You make your own person. You come up with whatever class you want, and that's who you play. But then there's the DM who plays the bartender, who plays the innkeeper, who plays the bad guys, who plays the little old granny sitting on the side of the road, and they basically play as the world that these guys are playing in, and it's just all imagination. Or like people will use little figurines, so it's like somewhat of a placeholder, and it's just fun. It's fun to make shit up as you go. And I love, my favorite part about it is like everything I'm doing is homebrew. So I'm making up a ton of stuff. I steal a lot from other fiction. But not fiction. But yeah, I steal a lot from other stories. But it's just fun to come up with shit too. Like, what was the last? I came up with this, what's his name? I came up with this turtle. Like this turtle, it's a, it was a frog person. Like it was just this frog dude living in a swamp at the bottom of the swamp. And he was you won't know what a druid is, but it's a wizard basically. And just coming up with a story, like they go through and they walk through the swamp and they have this whole interaction and everything. And like, that's just fun.
So
Like
you just come up with the whole story, like the whole storyline?
So I came up with the country that their characters live in and everything. It's called Boaha. That one I came up with my own, but I also steal a lot of shit from other movies and TV shows.
You can write a book.
No, it's not. I could write a book, but I don't know if the book would do well. That's the difference. It's a lot harder. Like there's and it's fun to see that too, like to understand like, oh man, like coming up with a scenario and like coming up with good plot hooks and tying everything in so it makes sense and bringing someone back and making shit elaborate and puzzles for people to figure out. That's very humbling because it is not easy to do.
Well, that's creative too. It's really creative.
Yeah, it's good for the brain.
Very. That's so cool. So that's something that fills you up.
Yeah, I love doing that. We do it. It's hard to get everybody's schedule lined up, but we try to do it every Saturday.
Yeah. Did I read that you have a business?
Yeah. So I started my own business last year doing shrink wrap. It's something that I've been doing for a few years, and then I finally started doing it myself. While I was doing it with the guy that I mentioned earlier, Wild Bill, the one that told my dad to put me in wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing shrink wrap with him for years, and then eventually he didn't want to do it as much anymore because he's getting older.
What shrink wrap? Because it said shrink wrap boats. I think that's what I read.
Yeah. So do you know? So you live in Pennsylvania. So how much does it snow down? Like, does it snow a lot?
Yeah, it snows a lot.
So then during the winter in marinas, do you see like the boats sitting out and they're covered with plastic?
Yep.
That's what I do.
What? Oh, wow. I thought that was a whole cover. Like you had to buy a cover for your boat.
So some people they'll do a canvas cover, or a lot of people they'll
Yeah.
just do a bunch of tarps because it's easy and it's cheap.
Hmm.
The canvas works, but the canvas is annoying to set up. I hate it when people ask me to set their canvas up, but I mean, I'm getting paid, so I'm going to do it.
Right.
But what I usually do is it's a roll of plastic and you pull it over it and you heat it up with a torch gun and it melts, not really melts, but it heats up and it shrinks and it gets really tight and it sits on top of it. And it's really good for keeping snow out. If you give it enough
Wow.
pitch, you got to like depending on the boat, you got to create a nice arc
Yep.
and cover it.
So it's really thick plastic.
Yeah, it's super thick. But if you heat it up too much, it gets really thin. So it'll rip easy. Like what we call them skylights. Like you'll heat it and then it'll heat up way too much and it gets thin. You can see through it.
Gotcha. So then what do you do when you're ready for season to bring your boat out?
So usually I don't do anything with them. Like some people ask me to come down and take the plastic off, but usually you can just take the shit and leave it and the marine will take it for you. But I don't do it. Usually the person who owns the boat takes it off because they want to get into it whenever they want to get into it.
Right. But then they can't reuse the plastic.
You could, if you take
could?
it off. Yeah. So like you can't reuse. So what you do is, you tie, so let's say like a 28 rat boat with doesn't need to necessarily have a cabin, but let's say it has some kind of top, some kind of canopy on the top. If you have space, you put beams up. You put beams up with a little top hat and you tie strings off so it creates pitch. And then you'll tie one string from the bow all the way to the stern and it goes shoo. And it creates so that it slopes off to the sides.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you have that, you drop string off the sides and you tie a belly strap is what we call it. And it gets really tight and you tuck plastic and melt it so it won't come off from the top. And then you heat all of the top and it gets really tight and sits on it really tight. And it's great. You can make a house out of it.
Wow.
I mean, it's not going to keep warmth in,
Yeah.
but it's sturdy enough. It'll keep snow and rain out, keep the wind out. If it's a really bad storm, it won't hold up, just because it is plastic and it's held together with string and wood.
Gotcha. So when they take it off, do you cut it off or do you just take off the string?
If you want to reuse it, just pop the string and take it off and save it like that. Bring it back on and retie the string. But every time you reuse it, it's going to get thinner. It's going to get weaker and weaker. So it's hard to.
Do most people reuse it or no?
Most people get it done every year.
Okay.
Which saves you a lot of work. Like if you're 60 years old and you just have a boat because it's nice to go out on the water, you don't want to do that, especially when it's cold. It's wet and gross out. Your hands hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool, man. That's awesome that you have all that going on.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm actually the season's about to start. I've already got a couple calls. I've got to call people from last year. I got a truck for it. And I'm trying to I work full time outside of that. And I'm trying to leave that job so I can focus more on training year round and be more like just fight oriented. Like I already wrap my life around fighting, but so much of it's taken away because I got to pay bills. So if I can set that up to where it's a season where I'm working 2-3 months out of the year and I make enough to just not work for the rest of the year, it's going to be great for fighting.
Yeah, that'll be great. I mean, that's a really awesome asset to have for fighting because it'll work for you. Yeah. Dude, that's amazing. It was really good to talk to you. Is there anything that you would like to say that I didn't ask?
Well, the biggest thing is like just every chance I get, just a huge thank you to my gym, like my teammates. Follow them on Instagram and Facebook. My page, the gym's page is Team Dexter Valley Tudo.
Say it again.
Team Dexter Valley Tudo.
Okay.
and it's got my other teammates, Jake Kasky, Austin Shala, Randy, Steve. They're all fighting, and there's gonna be more guys fighting as they get better and better. They're ready once they get ready for fights. I'm the only pro out of my gym right now. Hopefully soon there's a couple guys that are gunning towards it, and eventually we're gonna have like a team of pros throwing elbows.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm excited. But yeah, I'm just like plugging them as much as I can. And I've got a couple sponsors that have been helping a lot along the way. Nummy's Bakery and Cardboard Kids. Like they're I actually just signed a long-term sponsorship with them, and I'm really grateful for them because they were helping me out when I didn't really have too much of a media following. And now that it's growing more, I want to plug them more. So that's the biggest thing I would say.
Dude, Billy, you're an awesome dude. I'll tell you that. And
Thanks, man.
I cannot tell you enough. Thank you. I can't tell you enough how excited I am to see your pitch, because I know you're going to be such a great asset to the UFC. It's going to be exciting. The Heart of the Bad Wolf is created and hosted by Nicholas James Muscarella, produced by Nicholas James Muscarella and Robert Altschuler. Edited, recorded, and mixed by Robert Altschuler at Command Creative Studios. Music by Alex Grohl. Special thanks to every fighter who shared their story and their wolf. Don't forget to hit the like, follow, and subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform to get notified when new episodes drop. Also, make sure you follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Heart of the Bad Wolf.